My name is Adi, and I'm the Director of Business Development at Playtika. I'm in charge of Corp Dev, basically M&A's growth strategy of the company. And I'm here today to kind of represent the first in the market perspective on different subjects that we will be discussing. Anton?
Hey everyone. So my name is Anton Gauffin. I'm the founder and CEO of Huuuge, and I think my role is all about growth. So I focus on making sure that Huuuge keeps growing.
That Huuuge gets huge.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I guess the first subject that we want to discuss and kind of see what our perspectives are is the use of brands in social casino. We see that a lot. Some companies adopted that very strongly, and some companies have tried. I know that Playtika, we don't have a clear brand strategy. I mean, the reason why, and this is already my perspective on the subject, and I'll be happy to hear yours, is that so far we haven't managed to kind of calculate the incremental value of the brands itself. So we have different games. Some of them are branded, some of them are not. And the secret sauce for every game and its success is very different. Sometimes it's the art, sometimes it's the math behind it. And today, I mean, when you see what the licensors usually ask in terms of pricing and business model, if you ask me, not to offend any of the licensors, I think they should be paying us. Just because they get the reach of our players for their brands. But they don't see that the same way. So far we're kind of flirting with brands, but not necessarily going all in with that, and it's working for us. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. We don't at the moment have any active licenses live. It's an interesting opportunity for us, but I think it's usually a trade-off that why are you doing that and how are you doing that? So it just takes of course a lot of focus from the company, and we haven't been now lately focusing on licensing. We are thinking what would be the right way to do that, and I think for us we did very early on when we started the company. A couple experiments, and the fact that the social casino games aren't being featured on Apple App Store and Google Play, it kind of bit decreases the interest to do licensing. So I think it can definitely potentially help your user acquisition and if you have the right brands and so on. But as I said, for us, we see that it's not easy. So if we now, after those couple experiments we've done, if we do it, we need to go kind of all in with that, and so far we haven't done that.
Okay, so that's one thing that's going on in the industry, and the other thing is I'm curious to hear what's your perspective about ads, the use of ads in the game. So we're in the capital of the ad tech, kind of, Tel Aviv. Yeah, so.
Yeah, for us and for me personally, so I like the ad monetization quite a bit. I think rewarded video is fantastic for the players. So what we do, our philosophy has been that it needs to be opt-in and rewarded. And but lately the growth we've seen has been mainly coming from IAPs, and because with the ad monetization. We haven't been as a company in as good control of the eCPM as we would have wanted. So even we were increasing the amount of impressions that necessarily didn't translate into additional revenue because the eCPM went down, and we've lately started to use more and more of our impressions towards our own house ads and in-app offers, which is, I think, what Playtika does as well. So you guys don't do ads, but you obviously advertise your own offerings, and that's what we've been doing as well, and it's been working great for us.
So I think from our perspective, as you mentioned, Playtika does not use ads. And the way we see that, and the reason why we don't do that, although many would say that this is another revenue channel that we're missing on, is mainly because we perceive our content as premium content. And we all know how we get annoyed when we watch a TV series and then we get like 15 ads and commercials during the show. So you don't get that on HBO, which is like a premium content TV series. So we like to think that we're not missing out on a revenue channel just because we have specific users who are used to this premium content, which is ads-free, and maybe that's the reason why they're monetizing very well. Maybe that's, because they don't get a lot of ads. But obviously nothing is set in stone. I'm not committing to anything in the future, but for the moment, this is kind of how we see that.
Yeah, so again, even we are pretty optimistic about the future of ad monetization, that the ads are, there's more formats coming, playable ads and this type of things. So we are trying those, but for us still the main growth has been coming from IAPs, and I think in order to do ads great, you need to have a smart segmentation models and that type of a BI that you know what you are showing to whom.
To whom, and not offer to all of your players the same.
Exactly, because when we started, so my initial philosophy was that the players are smart, that I'm not afraid of showing competitive game, because if they like our product, they will come back.
Yeah.
And whereas I still believe in that, we no longer, we are not that keen in showing temptations from, example, you guys, for our players. So we try to also keep them happy.
Keep them in the game.
Yes.
Yeah. So I guess the market is very kind of fragmented in that way, and the perspective on ads in general. And the next topic, which is interesting and everyone has been talking about, and we've seen sessions on that, is really what's going on with social casino moving towards Asia. So
we have now actually good growing numbers in few different Asian countries where we've been doing tests so far, and we see that it's definitely a massive opportunity for the whole industry. What type of content people want to play and how they play, that's I think very country by country type of an exercise, at least on our side, and it's about culturalizing the whole offering, and it's a lot of work. And but when we've done that so far, the return has been excellent for us, and that's why, as an example, we've recently added Pachislo into our game, and while that's still in kind of a beta version, we see that the numbers in Japan have been now growing nicely, and it's.
Did you develop it yourself, or if I can ask?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. It's,
so no localization from a Japanese team.
So we have a Japanese person who's part of the team. So some of these things definitely it's very hard to do those if you don't have the expertise, and that's what the global means for us. It means that we need to now attract a lot more people abroad and bring that type of know-how and talent into our company DNA.
Yeah. Yeah, so the way we see that is obviously social casino, again, depending on the type of game, not as a genre, as a whole genre. It's also fragmented by the country. I feel like the affinity would be larger based on the familiarity of the residents with casino. I mean, usually if this country has an offline casino, then people would already know how to play. They'll be more open to this content. At some countries, obviously slots would work better. Some countries poker would work better, and in some countries what will work better is maybe local games that we're not necessarily familiar with.
Yeah, exactly. So if you think about the different regional games, there's different poker variants that
Yeah,
are
the teen party, for example, or
exactly. So I think that's the opportunity for social casino companies, to tackle the global markets instead of being very focused on the tier one English-speaking markets. And,
Yeah.
But it's not easy.
Yeah, it's absolutely not easy. I agree. And then the last, because we're running out of time, the last subject that is really interesting, and it's been discussed here before, is kind of fighting for new DAO and for new demographic. Because let's say for us as a very mature company, and I'm sure for you as well, I mean, we're getting the players, it's getting more and more expensive, but can we really in that genre target different demographics?
Yeah, absolutely. So for us, we see casino as a fantastic environment for free-to-play games. So it's the dynamics of the casino make it a great platform for free-to-play. And we've since we started the company, at least at Huuuge, we've been saying that by innovation we can reach new demographics and drive new people in. And now when we recently started looking at the demographic data, we learned that actually for Huuuge Casino the biggest demographic is younger male players.
Interesting.
Which was to some extent quite surprising for us as well. Even that's something we've been working very hard, since we didn't expect that to be the main demographic.
What do you think the reason is?
I think the more active gameplay, the more social gameplay, what players can do in our product, it has wider appeal, and we are very happy to see that there's a very wide group of players, different demographics, who are enjoying our game.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like when thinking of expanding the portfolio, then really you're trying to get new users. And then we see companies like Murka, for example, who is taking it and making it a little bit more male-oriented with the quest. You guys with the social elements in the game. And yes, so those genres or those new products may have a glass ceiling as well, but definitely in order to grow and expand this niche, there is a need to target new demographics and not rely only on the obvious one.
And I think the challenge is also to find the kind of a right marketing message, and how do you pitch that type of a experience for the players, and it's not one size fits for all marketing pitch that you should do with all demographics, and that's where we don't have all the answers, but we are very actively experimenting. And seeing what performs and what not.
Okay, we have like 2 or 3 more minutes, I think. Do you want to open it for questions if anyone has for one of us?
Would you change things? Would you decide, for example, to put in Playtika, let's do the ad monetization? And would you decide to do the same thing as what you're doing in Playtika? Or is it like you're reaching completely different audiences?
Interesting question.
Yes, so maybe you go first.
Why not? Throwing me in there. um, I think that maybe, I mean, being kind of the first in the market, being Playtika and so big today, maybe I would try and risk and take more risks if I was in your place. But yeah, but now in the scale that we're at, obviously we have a lot of considerations to make before we open everything to a test. This is the advantage of a smaller company that entered later to the market and can actually kind of experiment on a smaller scale. It's less riskier, I think.
Yeah, so I totally get why they don't do ads, and ultimately it's obviously how well you are retaining, what's the long-term retention, and what's the player LTV in this business, and it's very understandable that the Playtika doesn't want other companies to be dipping their toes
Yeah.
in your player pool, and yet none of us really owns the players. So I think the industry research tells that the typical social casino player is playing multiple,
More than one.
yes,
Yeah.
and that's been one of the reasons what has supported that we continue showing ads. And but as I said earlier, that for us in the very early days it was very relevant, and nowadays we need to improve our segmentation models and make the BI better to get more value out of that.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, everyone,
Thank
for
you.
showing up. Thanks.
Thank you.